This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast.
The Hidden Killers Podcast.
With Tony Bruschi.
Well, our old friend Alex Murdaugh, he's been charged with more financial crimes. Yeah, as he continues to try and wreak havoc from behind bars. The saga continues. He's been indicted on no fewer than 22 more charges related to financial fraud. These new charges swirl around the disconcerting allegation that he cheated his deceased housekeeper's estate and insurance providers to the staggering sum of almost $3.5 million. Now, he's already got the distinction of being a double murderer and convicted of being a double murderer of his wife and his son. He also reportedly conspired with another lawyer to pilfer settlement funds unjustly acquired from the death of his longtime housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield. This revelation came at the U.S. Attorney's Office in South Carolina, which shed some more light on Murdaugh's rapidly spiraling disgrace. Is disgrace even the word to use anymore? I mean, he's crossed that line a long time ago. Let's unpack this tangled web of alleged deceit. In March, Murdaugh was found guilty of the 2021 murders of his wife and son. Now he stands accused of directing personal injury attorney Corey Fleming to pen checks that totaled nearly $3.5 million. These checks, supposedly earmarked for Satterfield's estate, were instead redirected to his personal bank account in the aftermath of her 2018 demise. Satterfield's untimely passing, labeled as a trip and fall accident, occurred at the family's South Carolina home. It left her two sons without just their mother, but also of the financial support that they should have received from her estate. Murdaugh, in a plot worthy of a crime novel, and it, I'm sure is now many a crime novel, apparently manipulated Satterfield's grieving children into suing him so he could claim on his home insurance policy, a policy conveniently purchased just months before their mother's death. People wonder about the Satterfield death, and was it the dogs? Was it not the dogs? Alec now saying it wasn't the dogs, even though he lied about it, and he's not credible any way, shape, or form. But he purchased an insurance policy to profit off of something like this happening. In an audacious move, he also represented the children in this case. However, he deceitfully alleged that a settlement was never reached and secretly pocketed the payments intended for them. So he tells the kids, sue me because my insurance company will pay you out. I'll get you all taken care of. Tells them, no, it never really worked out. Got his money and never paid the kids. This exploitation of this trust, particularly in such a delicate situation, is nothing short of just deplorable. U.S. Attorney Adria Burrows responded to this distressing revelation with a powerful statement. South Carolinians turn to lawyers when they are at their most vulnerable. She said, in our state, those who abuse the public's trust and enrich themselves by fraud, theft, and self-dealing will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Murdaugh's legal representation, as we know, Jim Griffin and Dick Carr Poodlin, insists that he is fully cooperating with federal investigators. Of course he is. They confidently predict the current charges will be speedily resolved without necessitating a trial. How long do you hang on to have an Alex Murdaugh as a client? Jim and Dick? At some point, don't you just say, you know what, enough is enough. He's not going to pay you. He's getting very low on funds. And this doesn't necessarily look all that good for you. Adding yet another layer of intrigue, it emerged recently that Murdaugh had misled investigators regarding significant details of Satterfield's death, including the claim that his family dogs caused her near-fatal accident. This web of lies led Nautilus Insurance to sue Murdaugh and Fleming in May of 2022. The insurance company alleges the men falsified details surrounding Satterfield's death to establish liability and secure a payout. Ultimately, Satterfield's family was awarded more than $7.5 million for the payments that Murdaugh had stolen. His legal team had maintained that he acted alone, asserted no co-conspirator was involved in the scheme, and that Satterfield's children were kept in the dark regarding the alleged insurance fraud. South Carolina Law Enforcement Division continues to investigate Satterfield's death. The coroner admitted her death should never have been categorized as natural. The nature of her injuries were indeed inconsistent with injuries sustained in a trip and fall. The nature of her injuries were indeed inconsistent with injuries sustained in a trip and fall. What exactly are they referring to specifically? What does that coroner know that others don't? And what is that going to mean in the future as they continue to investigate the death of Gloria Satterfield? And who did it? Was it the dogs? Was it Alec, who pushed her down the stairs? Or is it one of the deceased, who once shared a home and a life with one of the most twisted, deceitful human beings that South Carolina has ever seen? Not to speak ill of the dead, but one has to assume that if you're in that close of company with someone like that for all the years that they were, maybe you yourself, even though now deceased at the hands of that horrible, deceitful person, maybe you too had more to share than you were able to while you were alive.
This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast.
The Hidden Killers Podcast.
With Tony Bruschi.
If you want to weigh in on this or any of the stories that we're following for you, we have a phone number for that. It is 888-5-KILLER, 888-554-5537. To weigh in with your thoughts, we'd love to hear them and use them on a future episode of the program. My name's Tony Bruschi. Stay with us.